Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Hassan with the Freedom of Mind Resource Center in Massachusetts, United States. And I'm doing this Zoom meeting with two colleagues from Europe, Michel Gilbert, who is an activist with a parental organization in Europe, and he'll explain who he is, and an attorney, Carlos Bardavío, who has won a very important decision in Spain that is so important that I was like, let's record this and share it with the world who are concerned about children's well-being and psychological welfare. And with that, I will ask you to please introduce yourselves. And part of it will be in Spanish and English, and we'll try to add captions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steven. Muchas gracias, Steven, por permitirme estar en tu magnífico canal y sobre todo por conocerte. Yo soy, pues como bien explicabas, Carlos Bardavío Antón, abogado de la Asociación Española de Víctimas de los Testigos de Jehová. He llevado los procedimientos contra la asociación, los procedimientos de la confesión religiosa contra la asociación, también de su junta directiva, y soy doctor en Derecho Penal, y hice una tesis doctoral sobre las sectas en derecho penal, y en esa tesis doctoral hice una propuesta de reforma de delito, ¿no? O de inclusión de un delito de persuasión coercitiva en los códigos penales, no solo españoles, sino también en otros países, como por ejemplo en México o en cualquier otro país.
Hello, I am Michel Gilbert from the Parental Network in Europe. So with Carlos Bardavío Antón, who is a lawyer in Madrid, defending the Association of Victims of Jehovah Witnesses, we have the great pleasure to announce you a huge historic victory that the tribunals in Spain have given to all victims of Jehovah Witnesses. Carlos Bardavío Antón, he's a doctor of criminal law, and he's also giving a project of coercive persuasion that is a project of law in Spain. He has made many books on criminal law, cults, especially in Spain, but also in Mexico.
Yeah, that's great. So I just want to give a little back information about the Jehovah's Witnesses. This is a group that has been around since the 1800s, and it has many millions of people around the world. I became aware of it as an authoritarian cult in 1989 after my first book, Combating Cult Mind Control, came out, and I started hearing from former Jehovah's Witnesses who read the book, who said, "Oh my God, you were writing about our group." And one former Bethelite elder, Randall Waters, said, how come you didn't write about the Jehovah's Witnesses? And at the time, I had no knowledge that they were a destructive cult. People should know that I got interested because of my own Mooney involvement in the mid-70s in the United States. And then I was deprogrammed and learned about Chinese communist brainwashing. And so I've had a career as a mental health professional, helping people get out of cults, warning people about cults and such. And so I'm very aware of the abuse in the Jehovah's Witnesses organization, the pedophilia problem, the blood transfusion problem, the excommunication, disfellowshipping problem where people are cut off from their own family. I'm very aware of corporal punishment and how even young children are programmed to fear Armageddon. and women are treated as second-class citizens. So I'm just naming off the top of my head a few of the problems with this group. So I'm very excited, Carlos, to hear of your victory. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So can I ask, Michel, talk a little bit about your organization, what you're trying to do, and what we hope will happen around the world regarding this decision?
Carlos is a lawyer in Madrid, and as a lawyer for the Association of Jehovah Witnesses victims in Spain, he has had 4 trials lately. 3 of them have concluded in the definitive condemn of Jehovah Witnesses for different motives. One of them is particularly important for all ex-Jehovah Witnesses worldwide. The judge of Torrejón de Ardoz in Madrid said in her sentence, that the Jehovah Witnesses could be considered a destructive sect in order to comply with freedom of speech, because on the first condemn, Enrique Carmona and the association, Enrique Carmona, were sued by Jehovah Witnesses because of freedom of speech, as they had said on different mediums, that they considered the Jehovah Witnesses an abusive and destructive sect. Let me incise one thing. In Europe, we don't talk about cult. We talk about sect, or sectarian drift, or sectarian phenomenon. In that case, European authorities qualified Jehovah Witnesses as a sectarian organization. Now, in Spain, it's a huge decision which has been made, because it says that Jehovah Witnesses are a destructive sect. And it's a first step for worldwide former Jehovah Witnesses to go ahead to have their freedom of speech respected through mediums and legal systems.
Yes. And can I just clarify for the audience that the Jehovah's Witness attorneys initiated this to silence ex-members. So the freedom of speech argument was, wait a minute, these are our experiences, these are our opinions, therefore we should be free to say our experiences, to protect the public, to help our family and friends if they're still in, to not allow information control to continue. So this was initiated by the group, and Carlos has turned it around to say, wait a minute, they were saying the truth. And if I may add one more thing before I stop, the Moonies, my former cult, sued an English newspaper, the London Daily Mail, because they wrote 2 articles saying that the Moonies brainwashed and they were separating family members. So they sued the London Daily Mail, and the Daily Mail won the case. And the judgment was the Moonies did do brainwashing and they did separate families. So there's a historic history, at least in another country, that the cults who have a lot of money are trying to use the legal system to advance their power, but the truth comes out.
Carlos.
Sí,
Carlos,
dime.
did you understand my English?
Yeah. Sorry, can you translate me?
Yes, please translate, Michel, for Carlos.
Brevemente.
Stephen tuvo problemas en Londres hace unos años atrás con la secta Moon, que le inquietó a raíz de unos artículos en un periódico inglés. Y entonces, pues, ganó el periódico las demandas contra esta organización y entonces, pues, de alguna manera está muy contento porque es la segunda decisión y sentencia histórica, la que acabas de tener con los testigos de Jehová. ¿Podrías ampliar más información en español, por favor? Porque tú eres el abogado.
Sí, thank you, Steven and Michelle. Hay una cosa muy importante en esta sentencia, y es que no solo declara la libertad de expresión para decir que es una secta destructiva, etcétera, etcétera, que entraremos en pormenores, sino declara la libertad de información, que es otro derecho fundamental, libertad de información, y en Europa, para poder ejercitar ese derecho de libertad de información, la información tiene que ser veraz, que no es lo mismo que verdad. Verdad es the truth. Veraz, eso es algo que está cercano a la verdad, es decir, que se basa en algo. La jueza de Torrejón de Ardoz dice que todas estas manifestaciones de la Asociación Española de Víctimas, Testigos de Jehová, secta destructiva, ostracismo social o muerte social, trastornos psicológicos causados por el ostracismo social, encubrimiento de abusos sexuales, discriminación a la mujer, discriminación al grupo LGTBI o homosexuales. Esto, que es el grosso, dice la jueza que es veraz. Y por lo tanto, no solo hemos ganado por libertad de expresión, sino mejor aún, por libertad de información, porque la información es veraz. Y es veraz porque se basa en las declaraciones de las víctimas, en las declaraciones de los medios de comunicación y, ojo, lo más importante, en los propios textos de los testigos de Jehová.
So, Stephen, as Carlos is saying, the sentence, the decision of the judge of Torrejón de Ardoz in Spain said that it's not only a question of freedom of speech, it's also a question of freedom of information, as the victims are considered to have a trustworthy information to give by their life and their sufferings. So they want to respect that trustworthy word of victims. And in that sense, victims are recognized as victims by the legal system.
Very, very important. And let me say that the public, because we don't understand, most people don't understand social psychology, most people blame victims of mind control cults or sects being stupid, uneducated, needing to be controlled, all kinds of fallacies, because they don't understand how the human mind works or how social psychology works. So that's been part of my effort, I'm sure Carlos as well, to explain, no, human beings have gaps and flaws, and we need education to have a clarity over how to tell. And I will hold up my influence continuum, which there's a Spanish edition on my website. Ethical influence is informed consent versus lies, withholding information, distorting information, lies, recognizing the individual's right to their conscience. No, you have to follow the leadership or the dogma. So there's a system to think about healthy religions, destructive groups. And I referred to my bite model, which I did the first scientific model controlling behavior, information, thoughts, and emotions. If you can control these 4 dimensions, you can control people and make them into slaves. So my dissertation uses trafficking, which is an international crime, as the foundation, because trafficking says fraud, force, or coercion. And the BITE model covers all 3 in detail.
Sí. Tradúceme brevemente, aunque yo más o menos he entendido, más o menos, pero brevemente.
Un análisis sobre la influencia continua
Sí.
y entonces separa las religiones de las sectas en términos de abuso psicológico, impedimento a la libertad de expresión, y entonces eso ha hecho un inciso en español para que se pueda entender ya ahora en español.
Entiendo. Mira, solo hacer una precisión, y es que a raíz de lo que está diciendo Steven, la sentencia declara algo muy importante. Dice que hay veracidad en que los testigos de Jehová utilizan un control excesivo sobre sus miembros. Y esta frase, estas 2 palabras, control excesivo sobre sus miembros, es lo que le hace llegar a concluir, entre otras cosas, que es hay veracidad en que es una secta destructiva.
There's a truth in the sentence. It says it has truth. To say it's a destructive sect as it has mind abuse.
Y es control excesivo. O sea, no sé cómo traducirías excessive control. Esto no.
Oh, excessive control. Is that
Yes.
right?
It's very
Steven?
exciting. It's very exciting because we need, I think, my belief is that the world with the internet now, with social media, if we don't have clarity about information and what's ethical influence and what's unethical influence, if we can't look for facts and proof, then it becomes a big confusion, which authoritarian dictators want. They want confusion because when people are overwhelmed and confused, they want some daddy figure to tell them what to do. Because what happens in the mind when we're afraid, we regress to childhood. Our frontal cortex goes offline because we're so emotionally aroused in a negative way.
Un matiz más, le puedes decir, hay otra sentencia que es la de Gabriel Pedrero, que salió la semana pasada, que es contra un miembro, que también hemos ganado al 100%, y en esa sentencia añade la jueza algo muy interesante a lo del control excesivo, y es que la jueza considera veraz, que no es verdad, la palabra verdad es the truth, pero veraz es cercano a la verdad, ¿no? Pero se considera veraz que los testigos de Jehová cuando entran, desconocen todas las normas de cumplimiento que van a tener que hacer y toda la evaluación que se va a hacer sobre ellos, dando a entender la jueza de que entran sin saber dónde están entrando.
When the Jehovah Witnesses get baptized, they don't know where they are going. And apart from the excessive control, the judge say that the information is trustworthy, which is near to the truth, and it has also information on the product some way that is not given to the new adept, and it's a kind of misunderstanding from the beginning, misfit. Is that the good word in English, misfit?
Yeah, no, yes. So a lot of people are baptized when they're minors. They're not even of legal age. But I would add there's scientific knowledge that corporal punishment harms children's minds, their brains. And the Jehovah's Witnesses, I've interviewed and helped many people who told me they with a belt, with a paddle, beaten because they were making noise in the Kingdom Hall. But they were little kids, and that's what little kids normally do. But they're being beaten to be obedient, and this is terrible.
Yes.
So I wish I was fluent in Spanish, Carlos, but I've made a decision because of this. I need to learn Spanish, at least improve my Spanish. And plus, I am coming to visit Spain in July for two conferences, a cult conference of ICSA. Home.com is their website, and IALMH.org, which is the International Academy of Law and Mental Health, which has a congress every 2 years, and it goes to different countries. The last was Lyon, France, which I did a presentation, and I will do a presentation and a panel in Barcelona. Both of these conferences are Barcelona. So it seems to me like Spain is taking the lead now in this topic of trying to their best, at least the courts, this judge, to alert citizens to the dangers of destructive mind control.
I think in Europe now, every day we have information that Spain is taking the lead in fighting cults and fighting sectarian abuses. And for example, yesterday there was a third raid from the beginning of the year on shamanic ayahuasca cult in and in Ibiza. And this is probably the most important shamanic cult in Europe, which has branches all over, even in France or Italy. And it shows that Spanish authorities are really working to help their citizens to get free from cults and sectarian abuse.
It's really wonderful. I'll add one more dimension to be concerned about, and it's one of my areas of expertise, is hypnosis. The unethical use of hypnosis that's happening online, and people don't understand the difference between ethical hypnotherapy done by a professional mental health person with ethical codes of conduct, which is do no harm, which is all mental health, all healthcare professionals. That's the first rule, right? And then everybody else is using NLP and hypnosis, and they are saying they're coaches, and they're interfering with people's autonomy and ability to think and be good citizens.
That's another thing in Spain, as Carlos and I are members and activists with the only federation of Association of Prevention, Redune, and we are all working on our sides. Carlos is our counselor, advisor, and we are working with the College of Doctors of Medicine, advising directly when we see unethical abuse on therapists, pseudosciences, what Edzard Ernst calls a quack.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
One more. Una cosa más. Vamos a presentar, Retune consiguió, junto con el padre de Patricia Aguilar, que es un caso muy famoso en España y en Perú, que fue condenado el gurú por trata de personas, vamos a presentar, pero las tenemos ya, 300.000 firmas ante el Congreso de los Diputados, ante el Parlamento Español, para reformar el Código Penal español al objeto de que se incluya un delito como el que yo propuse en la tesis doctoral, un delito de persuasión coercitiva, digamos, claro y evidente, ¿no? Que sea entendible para los jueces y tribunales, porque muchas veces esta problemática que entienden psicólogos tan expertos como Hassan y otros, se tiene que trasladar a terminología jurídica, y es un poco el trabajo que yo tengo aquí en España.
In Spain, as the Federation Redune, we all work together with the family of Patricia Aguilar. Stephen, you talked about this case a few years ago. The young Patricia was detained and kidnapped from Spain by a guru in the middle of the Amazon forest and taken into sexual slavery. It has made a series on Netflix recently, 548 days. So with the father of Patricia Aguilar and Patricia Aguilar, we have united 300,000 signatures to ask the Congress of the Deputies in Spain, the Parliament, to have a law on what Carlos has been working on his doctoral criminal thesis, which is the coercive persuasion law.
Mm-hmm.
And actually going forward to present it to the Congress of Diputados, which is the Parliament of Spain. So we should have a law anytime soon. We had already different talks with the deputies, parliamentaries. So we are going ahead of Europe, actually, in asking our authorities to prevent from cult abuse, sectarian organization, and to defend and protect the citizens. And we are far ahead from the rest of countries in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I just want to applaud you. Thank you so much. America used to be ahead of Europe because I've been doing this since 1976. I felt like the US was ahead, but Europe has left the United States in the dust, so to speak. I want to just add another thing to our talk today, and that is, as the tobacco industry hired so-called experts to say tobacco doesn't cause cancer, oil countries and corporations have hired the same people, believe it or not, to say there's no proof that oil production and fossil fuels creates global warming when there's absolute proof that it does. And like these two industries, there are organizations of destructive cults who have hired apologists or propagandists to say there's no proof of brainwashing, there's no science, we need to have freedom of religion, we can't criticize anything if it's a religion. And as a religious person myself and a spiritual person myself, I say, no, 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 no. There are ethical religious groups and spiritual groups that are based on love and on truth and on compassion and charity and caring for the downtrodden. And then there are destructive cults hiding behind religious freedom. to say, no, 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 you can't go there. These are new religious movements. So I've been speaking out against these apologists, Massimo Intravigne, Eileen Barker from the UK, who said, she wrote a book saying the Moonies did no brainwashing. And I actually talked with her and I said, come on. And anyway, she made a career going to Mooney conferences and helping my former cult. And lastly, I literally just found out my cult, former cult, was behind global climate science denial for 50 years through the Washington Times Foundation. This is according to a very scholarly book that said the Washington Times Foundation of the Moonies is the front for all of this disinformation. So I have a personal feeling to speak out against the Moonies that have a M16 gun, M15 gun factory in the United States, are involved with the Japanese situation.
Press agencies also, Stephen?
They have a newspaper, the Washington Times, and they have other agencies. In fact, during January 6th, the physical coup attempt, Sean Moon said it was Antifa, and the Washington Times, the Mooney paper, said it was Antifa. It was just disinformation from these authoritarians. So we have to warn everyone and to teach everyone how to control their own minds, how to discern what's truth and what's factual and what is life-sustaining. And we have to warn and protect people from letting these groups take away our freedoms.
Michel, ¿me puedes resumir un poquito, solo para introducir yo alguna respuesta?
Entonces he's going to introduce some answers to what you said.
Please.
Sí, brevemente. No, quiero decir, no, te preguntaba a ti, Michel, si me puedes traducir brevemente lo que habéis hablado para yo introducir alguna apreciación.
Hablando de los grupos de presión y lobbies que se están montando para poder desinformar sobre esa victoria, y él hablaba de toda la desinformación que se ha producido a raíz de su combate desde hace 47 años. 47 years, Stephen, isn't it?
Yes, 47 years since my deprogramming from the Moonies. So I was recruited in 1974. So 50 years ago, my life was changed by cults.
Claro, entonces voy a hacer una apreciación. Yo creo que uno de los problemas por los cuales no se ha regulado mundialmente esta problemática de forma clara en los códigos penales o leyes penales es que se ha llamado habitualmente leyes antisectas. Esto ya crea un problema comunicativo con la libertad religiosa, ¿no? La propuesta que yo hago es muy parecida, por explicarlo rápidamente, a las leyes de violencia de género o leyes de violencia doméstica, en donde el maltratador realiza un control sobre la víctima de forma a veces inicialmente sutil, imperceptible por la víctima, que inclusive a veces justifica a la víctima o la acepta el maltrato o incluso hasta lo comprende. Es una dinámica, como bien sabe Steven, la persuasión cognitiva o la influencia indebida o la influencia continua, como él dice, es una dinámica muy parecida al control o al maltrato psicológico sutil que realiza el maltratador a su pareja. Y yo creo... Quédate con... Sí.
Puedo traducir todo.
Vale, y ahora continúo.
So, Stephen, Carlos is explaining that probably one of the reasons in a world where all these laws against cults have collapsed, it's because they were all anti-cult laws. they were against cults. What Carlos and Redune we are intending in Spain is to propose a law which is quite similar to those of domestic and familiar violence, which is much more subtle,
Subtle, yeah.
Subtle.
and it goes on a positive way to counterfight this manipulation in a couple, in a family, that produces the domestic violence.
Ok,
Yeah.
y añadir una cosa más. Esto es una forma de explicar a los legisladores lo que dicen los psicólogos dentro de la persuasión coercitiva. Es decir, evidentemente no es similar una violencia y otra, se parecen. Hay estudios como de Rodríguez Carballeira, que es un catedrático en España que así lo avalan, y otros estudios. Pero la clave para mí es que, evidentemente, cuando es grupal, la persuasión coercitiva puede ser más intensa y es más fuerte. Y es una problemática muchas veces grupal. Pero el germen criminal, digamos, el punto de inicio del delito es la persuasión coercitiva de una persona a otra mediante esa dinámica. Que luego haya un grupo que refuerce esa persuasión coercitiva, evidentemente eso intensifica mucho más el ataque. Pero eso es algo progresivo, es decir, es un plus más el grupo. ¿De acuerdo? Pero el germen criminal es el control sutil, subtle, de de una persona a otra persona bajo esta dinámica.
The subtle control from one person to the other, he's the starting point of the violence. And that's the reason why some groups use this germ of violence to extend it to the whole group. And that's the reason why we're intending to go for the coercive persuasion, which is a positive law to protect the citizens.
So I know that we'll be talking further, and we will add subtitles. So under Carlos, it will be in English, and under me, it will be in Spanish. So I don't think you, Michel, thank you so much, but I don't think you need to go do through everything. And all I can say is there are many more discussions we should have. But the critical key thing is understanding that our future and our children's future and our grandchildren's future is at stake.
It depends on us all, Stephen. We have to go forward for the future of our kids, for the future of the planet, because this group will take huge power all throughout the world. You've seen that in the United States. I see some cap behind you, and but that happens all throughout the world. We have that in another country leading a war, another leader with the radicals, sectarian, fighting another war, another leader appearing in Argentina. All this is based on disinformation, misinformation. And that's why at the Parental Network Europe, we have since 1999, 25 years now, to implement programs of freedom of mind in the schools when the kids are young. So we wouldn't have this problem of sectarian manipulation if the kids were formed to avoid all kind of manipulation by critical thinking, helping them to study information and medias in order not to be manipulated by medias. That's why also when you were talking about some lobbies, trying to disinform or misinform about this decision or about all the critics like you are and professionals. We have a friend in Quebec, Arnaud, who has studied what was being said by some minimal person. And he has discovered that he was totally lying. It's a lie.
Sí,
And
¿puedes añadir una cosa, Michel? Que efectivamente esa desinformación que están haciendo algunos grupos lobby, sobre todo, por ejemplo, ahora con los testigos de Jehová, uno de ellos que conoce bien Steven Hassan es Máximo Introvigne, que en su web, en su revista, está tergiversando, está manipulando la información de las sentencias que hemos ganado, ¿de acuerdo? Cualquiera que quiera leer las sentencias en español y en inglés las tienen en mi página web de mi despacho, de Bardavío Abogados, y pueden entrar a ver las sentencias en español y en inglés e informarse realmente de las sentencias. El señor Máximo Introvigne está tergiversando la información.
So everybody can see on the website of Carlos Bardavío Antón in Madrid, lawyer, the decision, the sentences, the 3 sentences he has had recently for the Association of Jehovah Witnesses Victims. So the truth is there. You just have to click on the website. Also, if you want some real authentic official sources, El Consejo del Poder Judicial, which is the legal system authority in Spain, publishes the decisions on its website. It's public. Everybody can just study them. And so just never fall into disinformation, misinformation, or lies in that case.
Yes. So we're going to need to wrap up, but I want to make a clarification, if I may. My understanding is disinformation is when it's intentional lying, and lying, overt lying, or distorting, or leaving out vital information, but it's intentional. Misinformation is incorrect information, but it's not intentional. It's from ignorance. So what these propagandists are doing is disinformation, in my professional opinion. So we want to use, the clarification point on that. And we will put the links in the video, and we'll make a blog, and we'll give people more tools. We'll have a transcript we can offer that hopefully will have the correct Spanish and English for people to also check. And we'll do more future conversations, I hope, as we wrap up. Any last words, Carlos and Michel, please?
Sí, o sea, si no he entendido mal, Michel, estamos terminando ya la entrevista y me pregunta si quiero decir unas últimas palabras, ¿no? Bien.
Y estaba aclarando sobre el tema de desinformación, una mentira clara, y misinformación, que es una falta de información, lo que hacen los propagadores de la palabra de mínimo.
Ya, ok. Yo solo quiero decir una última cosa. Esta sentencia que hemos ganado dice una última cosa que me pareció brillante. Y es que dice la jueza, por muy sagrados que sean los dogmas de una religión, ojo, que están aplicados por seres humanos. Es decir, está dando a entender que por muy sagrado que sea la libertad religiosa, hay seres humanos que pueden hacer daño a través de sus principios, ¿no? Es decir, sí, hay como dice la jueza, un control excesivo y un ostracismo o muerte social que llevan a la jueza a requerir los poderes públicos para proteger a la familia, puesto que ese ostracismo social o muerte social rompe las familias.
So the judge declared also in the last of the 3 sentences decisions, which was published this week, that excessive control made by this destructive sect produces that families are broken apart, and it alterates the thinking of the individual. So the judge doesn't say nothing about the dogma. Dogmas exist. They can be protected by the laws as dogmas, but dogmas are followed by adepts or devotees, and these persons distort the truth of a religion or a sect, a destructive sect in that case. Now we can say I'm based in the border of Spain, in Spanish territory. Carlos is in Madrid. We can say that Jehovah Witnesses is a destructive sect. But I want to emphasize, Stephen, be all careful to use that word,
Sect.
destructive sect, in other countries except from Spain. Now, Spanish authorities protect citizens with their freedom of speech, which is not the case in other countries, actually.
Right. Good. Great. Thank you. Muchas gracias, señor. I have to learn Spanish. I have to learn French, Michel.
Famous.
Thank you very much, Stephen. I'm very happy for this interview, and I hope meeting with you in Barcelona in our presentation conference in Barcelona in ICSA, no?
Yes, I look forward. And I invite you to the International Conference of Law and Mental Health. It's important to present there too, I think.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Michel.
Thank you, bye.
Expecting to see you in Barcelona. We'll be there all together, and you'll meet our organization and Federation of Spanish Association of Prevention, Redune.
Wonderful.
Yes,
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you again.